Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Norman Stockmeyer Auditorium. Appreciate your attendance at this special meeting of the Wayne Westland Board of Education. The time is 7 o'clock, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Mr. Mark Neal.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Will you call the roll?
Ms. Hines.
Present.
Myself, here. Mr. Bucklew. Here. Mrs. Medell.
I'm here.
Mrs. Walker.
Present.
Dr. Weaver.
Present.
And Mr. Cox.
Present.
All board members present.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, we have many people in the audience tonight. No doubt we have many people that would like to address the board. And what I'm going to ask is that you remember that we have a rule, a 3-minute rule, so that everybody has the opportunity to make their comments. Please adhere to the 3-minute rule. You'll see that there's a video screen in front of me, and that will give you the green, yellow, and red sign when your time is up. And please do your best to be respectful of the people that are going to speak later on in the meeting. The next item on the agenda is 339.19, and it's citizens' questions and comments on the agenda items. To be clear, I want everyone to understand that the only issue on the agenda this evening is a resolution which calls for an investigation. Nothing more than that. There are some things accompanying that are appropriate when you have an investigation, but that is the issue and solely the issue. So I invite those who are interested in coming up and addressing the board on the agenda item to please do so, beginning with the Wayne Memorial High School students. You know who you are. Please come up and...
I would like to address the board.
I understand that, sir, but not out of order. I've just called the students up. After all, we're all here for the students. We'd like the students to talk first, so please have a seat.
And I also...
Are you an attorney, Mr. Adams?
Yes,
you understand the Robert's Rules of Order and who controls the meeting?
I understand the...
Then will you please sit down and wait for the students?
The Michigan... I understand that the Michigan...
Is it your intent, sir, to disrupt this meeting?
No, sir, my intent...
Well, you are disrupting it because I'm the chair.
That we follow...
We'll call a 5-minute recess. There's a 5-minute recess. The meeting will now reconvene from brief recess. The Wayne Memorial students I've called up, if you'd please come to the lectern. This is your opportunity to speak. And I ask that you use your Wayne Memorial pride and don't conduct yourself like that. Please introduce yourself prior to speaking.
Is this open to all Wayne Memorial students or just the ones you specifically asked?
It's open to everybody. Yep. Please begin.
Good evening again. My name is Kushi Patel, and I'm a current junior at Wayne Memorial High School. Mr. Tom Bucklew and Ms. Shauna Walker were both not present at the board meeting on Monday. Therefore, we would like to continue to spread our message to those who miss our speeches. At the last board meeting, one thing that defined Wayne Memorial was the demographics on test scores. I, as a student, can say that is misleading. Statistics may show you the minority of what talent we have, but the majority is in our voices and hearts. As a kid, my parents were always turned away or insulted because of their English deficiency. This led to me and my brother getting disrespected for not helping out my parents. I should not have to have Americanized ideals to have my voice heard. I should not be shunned to express my culture and my derived roots. As I grew up, I started realizing how this took a toll on me. I was unable to advise myself. My high school teachers changed my life. and opened my eyes to a new reality. I started joining clubs, applying to various elite summer immersions, and pushing myself to get even better grades. I ended my sophomore year this June with 5 extracurricular activities, an acceptance to a Brown University pre-college program, and lastly, a 4.3 GPA. I wasn't able to do this because of the test scores or the data that was presented. I was able to do this because teachers supported me. When the world was against my parents, I believed in them. And when I had nobody to believe in me, my teachers at Wayne believed in me. Previously said, they had legendary imprints. The community believed in Dr. Holt, but she failed us. There are 2 types of interest. There are self-interest and best interest. The decisions that are being made by Dr. Holt are solely out of self-interest because they further advance the reputation of her while lessening the reputation of the teachers. Dr. Holt's lack of presence at numerous of our events display this question: how does one know what is in the best interest of students if there is little to never association between them? Next, moving Russo shows these characteristics into more depth because it is out of presumption. The board assumes that her transfer will effectively close Marshall. Is that true? Russo does not have the expertise in upper elementary management, but there is an assistant principal at Marshall that does. Is it morally correct to move someone down from a position of authority in which they have dedicated and persevered their time to look out for the community's best interests? Our futures relied upon the teachers that carved us into honorable men and women. Dr. Holt was able to strip that feeling away from us, that feeling when I could finally talk back to the person that mistreated my parents, that feeling when underprivileged students could do the impossible, and she did this from students whom she has little or no affiliation with. Now, as we are here today, some of the most talented, we have learned that change starts from us. The acts committed by Dr. Holt are poor and show the intentional purpose of pure corruption. We don't request, we demand that Dr. Holt is placed on administrative leave until an independent investigation is complete, and Lindsay Russo to be placed back into administrative staff at Wayne Memorial High Schools. Our voices will continue to publicize until they are heard. I'm going to repeat my last sentence from my last speech one more time. Those whom are the superiors, such as Dr. Holt, are not the foundation. The students in this district are the foundation of success. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Iris Alito, and I'm a rising sophomore at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, as well as alumnus of Wayne Memorial. I'm happy to see that the school board took the advice of so many and held a special meeting to address their concerns. Monday evening, I gave a speech asking the school board to really listen to what the students and parents had to say, because at the end of the day, we elect you to your seats and we can take them away. Rumor has it that some school board members are still questioning about whether or not an investigation should take place to begin with, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. Dr. Holt was so quick to remove Mr. Weber when she thought he had done something wrong, and the school board supported her through that. But now they're questioning whether or not they should suspend Dr. Holt when there is a 9-page report from a respected individual on the things that she has done wrong. To the school board members who are doubting whether or not she should get investigated, what are you afraid of? If she's not guilty, she's not guilty. But if she is, why do you want to be known as a school board member who supported someone so corrupt? Nobody in the district should be free to abuse their power like Dr. Holt has. Dr. Holt has been in the district for 2 years now, and for some reason she still doesn't understand what it means to have a supportive climate and culture at a school. When you have something ill, you certainly don't owe and demolish it. You don't take away the staff that have spent more than a decade dedicating themselves to helping students succeed. As a school board, you have failed us at keeping some of the most wonderful staff at Wayne Memorial, such as Mr. Weber, Mr. Dowd, and Ms. Russo. The least you can do is put Russo back to Wayne because that's what she deserves. Keeping Russo at Marshall's only punishes her and tells the students and parents that the school board abuses their power like Dr. Holt. The school board should have the best interest of the community and listen to what it's asking for. For the board members who vote no today on whether or not an investigation should happen, I want you to remember the Michigan State Constitution, Article 2, Section 8, to recall elected public officials from office if enough people believe they aren't doing their job. Thank you.
Hello, I am Miriam Mendoza, and I am currently a junior at Wayne Memorial High School, and I will be reading the written statement of Siobhan Patel, a alumnus graduated in the class of 2018. Greetings, students and families of Wayne. I am Siobhan Patel, a rising sophomore at Duke University. Sadly, I cannot be present at this meeting because I am working on an internship in North Carolina right now. I had the pleasure of having my statement read at the last board meeting. I want to challenge this notion that our school, Wayne Memorial, is underperformed and underachieving because of our staff. From my observations, it seems as though Dr. Holt has established a complex that our staff is what is poisoning our schools, when in reality it is truly her that has increased the toxicity of our community. I have been attending Wayne Westland School since 2nd grade, and I was blessed to attend Wayne Memorial High School all 4 years. I believe I have a better understanding of what our culture and what our community is than Dr. Holt. I believe that my principal, Lindsay Russo, in addition to countless staff, have proven themselves beyond a doubt to be bright leaders and educators. Wayne Pride is what we call it. This loaded motto has been built by our staff and has been something that has guided me to my success today. Dr. Holt, you read numbers, and they share a narrative that is different from the one I am about to tell you in the community. This staff is a family that takes in every single student and nurtures them to their success, regardless of what your statistics say. From the community perspective, Dr. Holt is deconstructing a sanctuary that has brought prosperity to many of the students. Dr. Holt is committing a shameful and unnecessary cleansing of our community. Let me rephrase this so that the board members and everyone can reflect on my words. Dr. Holt is criminally cleansing our staff. Without the efforts of this staff, I personally would not be sitting in an internship with the Durham government working on economic development plans for the city, and also be traveling to the United Kingdom to work with government on economic growth under Brexit. If it weren't for our passionate staff, I would not be attending Duke University with a full-ride scholarship, and most importantly, I would not be the same man who holds himself to the high standard of Wayne Pride that Lindsay Russo and other staff have created. To conclude, I want to share an anecdote. I was an ignorant freshman. Mrs. Russo was the leader of the Student Senate. I did not show up to any meetings and did not treat the organization with the respect it deserved. Mrs. Russo and I had a conversation about my commitment to Senate, and it was clear that I deserved to have my spot removed. Nevertheless, I went on to my high school career joining Senate only again senior year. And what I want to say is that it was one of my biggest regrets not being able to be part of this organization made me miss out on the chance of having mentoring from Lindsay Russo. Russo was able to, Russo was able to bring the best leadership skills out of our students. She was able to conduct the student leaders in a manner that has led to many great memories and achievements at our school. I could only write in anguish that I missed the opportunity to be groomed into a better leader in person because of Mrs. Russo. The past cannot be changed. However, if I made the same mistakes years ago, Mrs. Russo's energy and commitment is what needs to keep our school going in the right direction. I'm calling for, as a member of the community and alumnus, a reconstruction and reinvestigation in the direction of our so-called captain of the ship is taking us. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Trent Griffith, and I've spent my entire school career in the district. I spoke at the board meeting on Monday, though I'd like to briefly restate what I said for the two board members not present. One thing I feel is really unique about Wayne Memorial is the community. The community at Wayne is something you can't find anywhere else. The staff and students together create an atmosphere like no other, and I really believe that. Obviously, a huge part of the community is the administration of the school. Ms. Russo and Mr. Weber were an integral part of the community and truly a defining piece to setting excellence as the expectation for our school. Obviously, there's much room to improve, but these two administrators have made it part of their job to help students, and they are without a doubt why we have students going to high-level universities such as Duke, Georgetown, U of M Ann Arbor, to name a few. To have these two suddenly leaving is shocking. The biggest issue is the community had no say in the matter. The students and the staff of Wayne spend so much time together. It's a family for many. Some students see the staff more than their own parents. Mr. Weber has taken another job, as most would in his situation, but Ms. Russo should be given back her position at Wayne Memorial. I have no doubt the new principal, Dr. Anderson, will do an amazing job, and to have Russo's support would make his transition to the brand new community much smoother. Thank you.
Good evening,
everyone. My name is Chanel Baxter, and I spoke at the previous board meeting. Again, I'm a recent graduate of Wayne Memorial High School, but also the former executive board publicity manager of the 1819 Student Senate. Given that information, I hope you can understand that I'm very informed of our community, as it was my job, which brings me here today. I'm hoping that the two board members not present were able to observe my speech via social media. However, if not, I'll give a brief recap before I make my point. My bond with my teachers is unlike any other. They are the second version of a parent, but for many kids, they are the only adult figure they have. Our teachers at Wayne go above and beyond educating their students. Some have housed students who have no place to go, fed and clothed students who weren't fed or clothed, or even just been an adult to trust and come to when your world is crashing down. The corruption in our system has made our teachers have to leave the children they love and care for so much in order to save their career and their family. A teacher should not have to fear doing their job. More so, an educator should not be moved to a separate school that is closing next year, essentially out of a job when the time comes, as a means to cover up shady intentions here. Russo has been the heart and soul of Wayne Memorial for years. She's facilitated almost every single thing that makes Wayne a good high school, whether it be student activities or Senate or dances or cool fundraisers. The reason why we don't have school pride is because of stuff like this. If you want us to believe in our district, then do better. The behavior and language used towards her should not be tolerated at all and is not behavior we should be modeling to our students. On behalf of Wayne Memorial High School students and alumni, we do not ask, we demand that Ms. Russo be offered the opportunity to reassume her position as assistant principal at Wayne Memorial High School by her choice. With that said, we come to my point. Our community is calling for the investigation of Superintendent Dr. Holt. She's not the only problem. In my last speech, I said, and I quote, "My silence cannot be bought, and shame to those who can." Each of you on this board has contributed to this ethical problem we have here, and I want you to ask yourself, why did it ever reach this point? A 17-year-old is asking you all to grow up, put your personal opinions aside, and do right by listening to your community. While all of you have your own faults to deal with, let me voice our concerns today. Dr. Holt's disrespectful reactions to students' speeches yesterday, showing her disregard for public concern and opinion, her absence from the Upward Bound banquet, senior night, senior honors, her leave during graduation, and absence at basically any Wayne Memorial event. Wage differences not only in Wayne Memorial High School but the district itself, the movement of Lindsay Russo to another school and the language used towards her as well, and the time period between Principal Weber's return and said actual return, and pretty much everything in Mr. Ambrose's letter. If you think these situations aren't enough to be investigated upon, then what is? And at what point? And at that point, you are part of the problem. We always say that being silent is a part of the problem. The same goes for not conducting an investigation. Part of your job as a board member is to act in your community's interest, whether you personally agree or not. Now is the time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ishan Will, and I previously spoke on the Monday board meeting. While many of my peers have expressed their opinions for Dr. Holt, I agree with them all. I also feel that the board members have not been making good decisions in supporting her and keeping her on the board for this long. Thank you for listening to the community at this time, but we need to do better as a community. We need to represent the students as a whole, not represent you guys and how you guys personally feel. I feel like the students have not been informed. We have not been helped. You guys are moving teachers to buildings that aren't going to help us, but they're helping your own opinions, I feel, personally. So I feel that you need to keep in mind the students who make the community. We come here, we support everything, and you guys represent us. We are the community. Thank you, that's all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Madison Betcher, and I am a rising junior at Adrian College, as well as an alumnus of the Wayne Memorial Class of 2018. Regrettably, I was unable to attend Monday's meeting because I had to work, but live streams and social media coverage told me everything that I needed to know, that the community is outraged, and that the Board of Education could not care less. Video was posted of Dr. Holt falling asleep as students, alumni, parents, and teachers read their statements. I have also heard that many board members don't believe they should waste their time on opening an investigation. If, in your opinion, there is no need for an investigation to be performed, then why do you see a community full of people in front of you right now asking for one? Why on Monday did the board meeting last until midnight because so many people read their testimonies? Why are you on the Board of Education if you do not want to investigate the allegations of prejudice, abuse of power, and mishandling of funds in your district by your superintendent? Maybe it's because Dr. Holt is the hand that feeds you your 44% pay increase. At Monday's meeting, Shannon Pippa confessed that she was hesitant to clap for her students' speeches because she feared she would be fired. She was afraid to show support for her students, standing up to a selfish superintendent while the super herself leaned back in her chair to take a nap, as if the entire meeting was a waste of her time. President Cox read a quote about D-Day on Monday in his closing statement. Do you not remember that on D-Day, thousands of young men stormed Normandy to fight against a tyrannical leader whom people could not speak out against? Right here, right now, is your D-Day. You see hundreds of Wayne West End community members seated in front of you today, fighting for justice against this modern-day dictator. Now is your time to end the injustices happening right here in your district, and I demand that you all vote to open an investigation into the allegations against Dr. Shelley Holt.
Good evening. My name is Savannah Dobreff. I'm a member of the Wayne Memorial Class of 2018 and a rising sophomore at Kalamazoo College. There are two things I would like to talk about. But first, I'd like to start off by echoing a phrase the board kept repeating on Monday's meeting. Change is necessary. I completely agree. Things cannot improve without change. However, positive change necessitates clear, explicit, logical reasoning, and the reasoning for the decisions that have been made in the past year, as far as I am aware, have not been shared with the public. As I received messages from students and learned more about the situation on my own, I was floored. Two integral parts of WMHS community, Kevin Weber and Lindsay Russo, were removed, and there was no logical reason to be found. Weber was offered a job at the school board office that he either had to accept or be unemployed. He saw that his best option was to leave his home and become principal in another district. Russo was being removed from Wayne Memorial and placed in a school that will only have 6th graders for 1 year and close the next, leaving her unemployed. The board and the superintendent have released no explicit reasoning for why these individuals, that from my perspective at least, have only ever done a phenomenal job with high schoolers. The only reasoning I can then find is that they are being targeted for a personal agenda. Removing these keystone species, as Malachi Sauls pointed out on Monday, has led to a negative domino effect at the high school, as many teachers and students have voiced their desire to leave. Some teachers, such as instrumental music teacher Matthew Dyroff, have already left. Weber's and Dyroff's decisions, no matter how sad they're leaving, are sad and done. Russo's situation can still be rectified. As I said before, change is necessary, but all this reasonless change is hurtful. So I ask the board to please make a clear, explicit, logical change and bring Lindsay Russo back to Wayne Memorial. The second point that is that Principal Weber had allegations raised against him. They were immediately investigated. He was removed from his position at Wayne Memorial and was kept out of the school long after the accusations had been found to be invalid. And yet, when numerous illegal allegations are raised against the superintendent, they are ignored, and there is a rumor circulating that they may never be investigated at all. What kind of example are you trying to set for your community? That a good person who has served the district for nearly 2 decades, whose name has long since been cleared, is not permitted to return to his job, but a woman who has barely been around for 2 years is allowed to abuse her authority without so much as a second glance. That's disgraceful and makes the entire board complicit in the possible illegality Superintendent Holt may have committed. I hope you will all see and do the right thing when it comes to the investigation and that should take place and face the consequences the community will dole out. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ashley Highland, and I'm a former Wayne Memorial student currently at Michigan State, and someone who has been in this district her whole life. I first went to Jefferson Barnes Elementary. I don't know how familiar you all are with the district, but Jefferson Barnes was an elementary school in Norwayne that was shut down when the schools were changing grade levels. I loved my time there. So much so that I work there now at the Jefferson Barnes Community Learning Center alongside Wayne Memorial teachers. Just yesterday, I was there helping elementary students in the district with a coding lesson. I say this to show that my interests in the district go far beyond my own experience. After Jefferson Barnes, I attended Adams Upper Elementary and Franklin Middle School, finally making my way to Wayne, which would soon become a home to me. I can almost use home quite literally. I couldn't say how many countless hours I've spent just in this auditorium alone. Between all of the theater productions I was a part of and my 4 years playing cello in orchestra, this auditorium stands for much more than a building. See, for students in this district, school is so much more than a building. School is a chance to trust, a chance to have consistency that might be missing at home. I know that was my experience. The people we learn to trust and rely on aren't board members or superintendents, although I wish that was the case. As a student, the people we have are the people in our building.
They are the teachers, the principals, the maintenance, the bus drivers, and more. The people who greet us in the morning and make sure we've had breakfast. The ones who pull us aside when we've been absent to make sure everything is all right. Those are the people that become our consistency. In high school, I had the help of many teachers in the Upward Bound program to make sure I could get classification as an independent youth. This allowed me to apply for financial aid in college and get free lunch at the school, something I was terrified I would not be able to do without my parents, because the staff at Wayne Memorial take the standard of excellence and give it new meaning. The staff here are dedicated to change. As the founder of Wayne Memorial's first LGBTQ+ organization, I saw this firsthand. Thank you. We had our minimum of one sponsor, but typically had as many as 5 additional teachers at every meeting. They asked the students how they could better support a diverse population like us. I was eager to work with the staff to find ways to make Wayne Memorial a better place, because working side by side can be so much more effective than forcing people out and replacing them. Like many others, I was shocked at the people leaving the building. It's too late for us to get Mr. Dyroff and Mr. Weber and all the rest back, but it is not too late for us to put Mrs. Russo in a position that she's qualified for. Let her help the students through all of the loss and change that is happening. Having the same administrative team and many of the same teachers was everything to me when I could not stay the same at home. I urge the board to find a way to keep these amazing and talented individuals at Wayne. I don't know if you realize the amazing people that you have, but the students can feel the fear. They can feel the intimidation that the teachers are experiencing. We know even when it seems to be happening behind closed doors. I ask the board to find a way to show safety and consistency to the staff in this district. This climate of toxicity must be acknowledged, investigated, and transformed. The people we see every day deserve to know that Wayne Westland is a place that supports them as much as they support us. Thank you.
Hi, I am Malachi Sauce, a graduate from the class of 2019, and I will be attending Howard University. On Monday, June 17, 2019, a group of students who either went or go to Wayne Memorial attended a board meeting with the intention to voice our concerns about the superintendent, the removal of 2 administrators, and its effects on Wayne's climate. We went with the desire to be heard and respected by our community, the Board of Education, and the superintendent, but left not feeling heard or respected by the one person who we wanted to hear us the most, Dr. Shelley Holt. As us students and many community members voiced our concerns, our superintendent was noticed to be inattentive and disrespectful. The rolling of the eyes, the smirking, the lack of interest resting on her face, and so many other acts of indifference worked together to make some people think that maybe she doesn't care. That might not have been the intent, but it was perceived that way, and perception becomes and ultimately is reality. It wasn't until Angel Lopez made the comment of her mocking our misery that she changed her ways, but by then it was too late. We saw exactly what we needed to see, which was the complete opposite of the lady we began to know and love in her beginning. When we first met Dr. Holt, she was very lively, energetic, invested, charismatic, and the list goes on. After her first graduation speech, students felt like they finally had a superintendent that they could connect with. Moving into the beginning of the next school year, marching band got buses to all of the competitions which were hours away. The bond proposal was passed and things were going great. But after hearing a certain situation, I had a feeling that the greatness was going to be short-lived. Lo and behold, it was. Our connection to her began to be unplugged, and it felt like we lost our superintendent. Was this an act of manipulation? Did you want to butter us up to get us on your side and then wreak havoc? If not, that's how the situation is being perceived. We have a superintendent who seems to think the cry of students and community members is a joke. A superintendent who doesn't have enough respect for one of her schools to show up to events honoring many achievements of amazing students. A superintendent who was said to have made a threat against another student, which was included in Ambrose's letter. A superintendent who doesn't seem to care enough about the environment of one and maybe even more of her schools. Is this really our superintendent? So many teachers were engulfed with devastation when hearing that their administrative team was going to be broken up. So many teachers fear retaliation so they didn't speak. So many teachers face the question of, do I want to stay here? So many students were infuriated with the decision. So many students began to question if they even want to stay in the district, which goes against the objective of retainment. A good percentage of Wayne Memorial was negatively impacted by the decisions of Dr. Holt. It's almost crazy how it takes so many people to build a good functioning community, but it only takes one person to rip that community apart. That is not what a caring leader would do. If she really cared about us, she would have came to those events. If she really cared about us, she would have stayed at graduation. If she really cared, it wouldn't take a brave rising senior to call her out for her to actually look interested in what her students and community have to say. The jig is up. At this point, an apology won't suffice. We need an investigation. Thank you.
Mr. Adams.
Good evening. Brothers and sisters, good evening. I pray all is well with each and every one of you. I find it terribly concerning that there has been a concerted effort to uproot our superintendent, Dr. Shelley Holt, from her position. It is unrealistic to entertain and certainly to state that our superintendent is unfit to serve the members of the Wayne Westland Community School District. This is what I see: a well-equipped, well-versed, and well-to-do woman who also happens to be black, being bombarded by a patriarchally, you know what, we all must be civil to one another. That is the American way. Would you respect it?
Zebra Prime,
thank you.
please.
I will take my time. Being bombarded by a patriarchally driven system coupled with other embedded biases. As a graduate of John Glenn High School and one of many valedictorians, which is another story of its own, I know firsthand of what happens in our community. I cherish my peers, my coaches, my teachers, my JROTC cadre, and others across the spectrum of the administration. However, I was not new to politics nor prejudices and witnessed many things firsthand. I urge us all to pause and determine why we're in our positions today. Are you in it for the children, or to continue to peddle the divisive policies and inflammatory language that constantly increases the cleavage in our already broken community? To anyone, please do not hesitate to contact me with any comments, questions, or concerns. I will place this letter on record from State Representative Juel Jones. And on another note, as a proud African-American woman, I fear nothing. I stand for justice for everyone. I do not believe in railroading. I do not believe in intimidation. I believe in discernment. Discernment brings us together. If you are truly a people who love and care for each other, especially our children for whom this example is being set, and by the way, you are using as pawns, then you will consider what I have to say.
Ma'am, you'll please address the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask that you please allow the speaker the opportunity to speak. I realize there's a lot of emotion in the room, and if the speakers would please address the chair with their comments. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Cox. My name is Anthony Adams. I'm attorney for Dr. Holt. In my initial presentation to the board, I've had the opportunity to forward to the board several letters of concern regarding the actual process that's been employed by this school board. As I stated in my communication to the board, if in fact there is an issue of discipline involving the superintendent, then under MCL 15.268 subsection A, that matter must first be addressed in private session. I've heard a lot of accusations. I've heard a lot of innuendos. I have yet to see a direct letter from the Board of Education which specifically outlines whatever allegations it believes has been made against this superintendent. As a matter of due process in law, that is what our system of justice is based on. And as a matter of fact, it's also included in the school code of the state of Michigan. So when we're trying to educate our children about what the process is, they should also understand what the law is. The law says that if in fact you're going to make an accusation or take discipline against a superintendent, that matter must first be discussed with the superintendent in private. That has not been done here. We've asked repeatedly for this board to outline what the accusations are. This proceeding has the elements of what is known as the star chamber, by which a person is accused of something but is never told what they've been accused of. I hear accusations of innuendos about what the superintendent has done, how she's been disrespectful, but I've seen no specific allegations made by this board which clearly outlines factually what the superintendent has to address. We don't know what, quite frankly, people are talking about. We need to understand clearly what the issues are. With respect to some of the presentations that were made, it quite frankly is appalling that students would be allowed to come up to the podium and to accuse a superintendent of illegal acts. What illegal acts are they referring to? It's also inappropriate for matters that were shared in confidence with this board for the people in public to now discuss what a potential contract that this superintendent would have. That can only come from the board. And let's be clear, there have been accusations and allegations made about various board members on this panel that have not been addressed and raised in public. So my question is this a fair proceeding? Is this a proceeding aimed at getting to the truth? Is this a proceeding aimed at exploring what the issues are? We all understand that the students love their schools. That's what school is all about. Relationships that people develop with their teachers is invaluable. But we also have to instruct them that they should also explore and understand what the facts are. A simple fact that a letter is written and make accusations is not the truth. It hasn't been proven. And until such time as this board can categorically and specifically outline what the allegations are against the superintendent,
Sir, you're being rude.
This matter is a fraud. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Kevin Wittenberg.
Now, before a vote takes place, I need to address the board right now because this will be rescinded because two of you up there are a sorority sister and the other one was a husband that served with Dr. Holtz's husband also. And before that happens, you either give me a yes or a no. Are two of you related physically, personally to Dr. Holt where you should not be able to vote tonight?
Sir, please address your comments to me, and it's not a question and answer session. You have 3 minutes to speak, and please continue.
Related personally. Okay, now, everybody in here is a teacher. Please stand up quickly, please. Please. Now, everybody who is in here has been threatened to be quiet and not say a word. Continue standing. Have you been threatened to keep your mouth shut? Have you been... Who is afraid to
Sir,
come
please
forward
address your
now?
comments to the chair.
All right. The teachers in this room are terrified. I've got emails. I've got 120 emails and messages that they are afraid of their jobs because of what would happen if they were standing up against Dr. Holt. Also, are you aware of the Hollings report? Is everybody up here aware of the Hollings report? Have you seen the original and have you seen the rescinded, the copy? The original has 3 bullets. The altered has 4 bullets. If you see that, the 4th bullet was added by Mrs. Holt. And that is in itself, well, and that in itself is illegal. Is she allowed to Dr. Mahoney's report? Yes or no?
So as I said, this is not a question and answer session.
I'm just bringing it to the attention. I got more information. I'll share with Mary McDonald after this. She asked for an interview, and everything I have will be shared with her. If this goes to a vote, and if she has not voted to be investigated, I will take it to the MDOE, and the state will step in and do a thorough investigation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you one more time to remember who we are and what we represent to the students in the room. And there's a way to handle this proceeding, and it should be done with respect and dignity to everyone. And I will remind you that what's happening here is an issue about whether or not allegations should be looked into further, and it's only that. So please, I believe that your position would be better presented if done in a professional way. So. Malachi Sauls? Malachi, did you speak already? Yes. All right. Are these them? No. Jennifer Owens?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Owens. I am an alumni of Wayne Memorial from 1992. My son recently graduated from Wayne Memorial in 2017, and my 2 daughters attend Marshall and soon to be Franklin Junior High. I have tried many times since watching the video, the live feed of the meeting the other night, to try to sit down and actually write down a speech to prepare today to address this board. But every time I took a pen to paper, I'm so infuriated, I can't even come up with a full sentence. I say to you all, as our board members, that you should all be ashamed of yourselves to allow this to come to this point. These students and these teachers that fear their own jobs, their livelihoods, and the way that they provide for their own families and children, if you were in that position, which you may be, I know that you guys definitely get pay increases ordered by this woman. And by the way, Dr. Holt.
Please address your comments to the chair.
Okay. In regards to Dr. Holt and her behavior so far tonight, are we boring you by chance? I'm just curious. You have my name and number there. I know this is not a questions and comments section, but you do have my questions that I can ask, and you are allowed to comment to me personally with the questions that I address. It appears that we are boring you, because I see you smirking, I see you rolling your eyes, I see you sighing. Hey, this is not inappropriate. I did not speak when you spoke. Why don't you sit down and please let me have my time? Thank you, sir.
Mr. President,
And I'm going to say another thing. I'm going to say one more thing to this young woman. I'm sorry, I don't know where she went. The woman that addressed the black card, the race card. I'm speaking to the board. I'm trying to find the woman so I could speak to. I don't need to hear anyone's mouth right now. You're going to hear mine.
Please address the chair.
Then don't listen. Walk away. Then don't listen.
No, my black child is not being represented in this school. I will not walk away. You will not.
My white children are not being represented in this school.
Your time is up.
This is not about race.
Your time is up.
This is not about race.
Time is up.
This is not.
Your time is up. You're out of order, Mr. Adams. You're out of order, Mr. Adams. You're out of order, Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, this is the second time I've called you out of order. I don't want to have to do it again. You're representing a very honorable profession, but not well right now, sir. Please, you're out of order. You're out of order. It is you who is out of order. I promise you're not going to win this exchange. We're in recess for 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? The board meeting is now reconvened. Folks, this isn't productive. What we're doing right here is, it's not even nice. There's a decision that needs to be made. It's on the agenda. We're having a meeting, and it has to be decided upon. But I'm just going to be perfectly frank with you. I do not feel comfortable as a gentleman sitting here and watching a lady just be torn up, person after person after person. I don't like it. And so this is what we're going to do. If you want to address this board on this item, I'm perfectly willing to sit here as long as it takes for everyone that wants to be heard. But if it starts turning into this again, the chair is going to entertain a motion to call the question, and we'll take the vote, and we can speak, and you can have your comments at the end of the meeting. I'm not putting our superintendent through this. This is an investigation. This is all this is. Please understand this. So what happens if an investigation reveals there was no wrongdoing, just a lot of unpopular decisions? Okay? I mean, this is our community. We can't burn this down. Okay? So I understand the emotions. I have them too. I'm just going to ask you, please, let's be neighbors here. And let's treat people with respect. Christy Tuttle.
Mine's just kind of simple. I'm just concerned and would like it to be investigated what happened to Mr. Weber and Ms. Russo, because I was lied to by a board member on why Mr. Weber left. So it makes me question what is true and what is not true. I also believe investigation into some of the raises at central office should be looked at, because $20,000 for a financial director, and we're getting rid of reading interventionists that are, this is the year at third grade. If you don't read at third grade level, you're retained. So why are we getting rid of those positions? But yet we can give bonuses of $20,000 to people at central office. And you said Monday, if we lose kids in the district, we won't be able to keep the staff raises if we lose kids in the district. Well, if something isn't done, you're going to lose kids in the district, mine being the first two to go. Because the staff isn't safe, my kids aren't going to be learning. You can't keep teachers. They're not learning from a substitute because they're a babysitter. So something's got to be done for our kids to succeed. Thank you.
Jacob Johnson.
I'll abstain on recording instead.
Jesse Shelley? Shelley? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Shelby.
Good afternoon to Wayne Westland Board of Education. Mr. President, on the agenda, you said we only speak about what's on the agenda. Tonight, other things have been spoken on, but I want to know, on the agenda, it says a resolution. Isn't the day is the 20th of June, 2019? You have a resolution here already written. Who gonna replace the superintendent if you make a vote? So if this is a special meeting to decide on the resolution, why is it already written? That's my question. I thought this was going to be a special meeting about framing the resolution and wording the resolution. But on the agenda, this is a special meeting, but the resolution already been written. And it's already been done by the Secretary of the Board of Education. So, can anybody on the board explain to me about the special meeting and why we here? That's why I'm here to hear the language, but it's already been written. I'm here to hear what the board gonna put in the resolution, but it's already been done. Am I confused?
Ms. Shelby, you understand I can't speak to that. This is an opportunity for you to speak, and you have 3 minutes. But it's not a question and answer session.
Okay, you can't answer it now, but...
That's right.
Okay, I still say the reason I'm here to hear what was going to be in the resolution. Okay?
Thank you.
Because it's already been done, so why are we here?
Pastor Colgrove? Stephanie? Colgrove? Romulus?
Good evening to the school board, faculty, parents, students, and community members of the Wayne Westland School District. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Stephanie Colgrove. I am one of the pastors at Gateway Family Worship Center in Westland, and I'm honored to be joined by several from our church and other churches in the Westland community. I'm also a proud parent of a student that just graduated, 2019 graduate from Wayne Memorial, who is going on to serve our state and nation in the military, and one who just finished her freshman year at Wayne Memorial with flying colors. Thank you. I felt compelled to be here today and speak on behalf of Dr. Shelley Holt because I'm quite disturbed about a few individual allegations that have been leveled at her alone as a scapegoat and then propagated, distorted, and exaggerated via social media, which we as leaders recognize is never the appropriate venue for addressing concerns of any kind. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So I commend those who are brave enough to step forward on this platform and voice their ideas and concerns, even if they don't necessarily align with my own. Since so many people nowadays feel comfortable with sharing and forcing their truth on others, I feel it is vitally important at this time to share a few facts I know and believe to be true regarding Superintendent Shelley Holt, based on the interactions I've had with her so far. Number one, she's a transformational leader. She has already brought obvious improvement to this school district and community in just the 2 short years she's been here. Granted, we all know that it takes longer than 2 years to effect change and clean up things that have been long in disarray, but she has already shown her grit, fortitude, and commitment to transform this school district toward excellence and advance the lives of our children and families, even in the face of adversity and opposition. When being interviewed last month regarding the recent voter-authorized passage of the sale of bonds, which saves the taxpayers money and provides a better than anticipated additional $625,000 toward building updates, she said, quote, "I'm a teacher who became a businesswoman and superintendent. The bond sale is a testament to all teachers and people anywhere that we can do anything we set our minds to when we get the right people on our team working towards a common goal. We believe in Wayne Westland."
Secondly, she's a model leader. The few times I've been privileged to hear her speak, at my son's graduation, my nephew's last year, and at the ROTC special dinner, I was so impressed by the fact that she's a wife, mother of how many children, 7 or 8, all while spending countless hours at work and then after-work events and follow-ups. I know as a pastor what kind of toll this kind of commitment and responsibility can bring, and I could never cast a stone at her if she happens to miss an activity or two, as has been alleged and accused upon her. I wondered how many times she's been at community events in the name of her job, and her own community or her own children have suffered. So I'm here to support her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mabel Strawman.
Good evening. And I'm really just going to read a statement. I had a whole list of things to speak to, but I'm going to read the NAACP pledge. The NAACP must be strong in numbers and so effective in method that no Board of Education, no mayor of any city, no governor of any state, no congressman of any party, no president of the United States, no foreign ambassador will dare to commit any indignity against people of color without realizing the NAACP will challenge them on the platform, in the press, in the courts, in the streets, and at the ballot box. I said ballot box. Thank you.
David Greenshield. David Greenshields.
Mr. President, it's possible to request back my time. I probably want to hold my device for me. Jacob Johnson. I obtained earlier. Is it possible to take back my 3 minutes I obtained earlier? Someone pulling the report for me.
He was recording.
Well, sure, you can speak. I'm going to call Savannah Dobrev up right now, however. Everyone that wants to speak is going to be able to speak if we do it like this. Okay, you're up.
Hello, my name is Jacob Johnson, and most of you here will know me. I have served the community in multiple different capacities. I'm an Eagle Scout of Troop 1736 here in Wayne, Michigan. I'm an alumni of this high school from 2011. Weber was a teacher when I was here. Russo was a teacher. I spent my formative years in this school. I spent my entire life in this district. I have lived my entire life in this community. And only in times of need do we form like this. And this is a time of need. We don't get together and have 250 people packed in the school board meeting on a Monday night for 5 hours. I am hoping that the school board listens. And hopefully you listen to me. I spent the last year in the school district as a substitute teacher. I was in the room with these teachers as Weber was escorted from the building, as the investigation happened, as he returned, as they found out about Russo, as everything happened. I witnessed what was going on in the classrooms. I experienced this district as an outsider. And I won't be coming back because it's not worth it. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Kimberly Milstead.
Good evening. I'm the principal at Tinkham Educational Center, a place that Dr. Holt supports wholeheartedly, as I believe she does our whole district. I'm speaking out for myself because someone else took it in their hands to speak for me through the letter that was written. Sorry, I lost my place. Give me 1 second. I didn't appreciate the letter, nor did I agree with it. I'm not going to give you a list of all of the good things that Dr. Holt has done for one school, nor am I going to speak for anyone but myself. What I am going to say is that, in my eyes, Dr. Holt has brought a significant challenge to our district, and that this means change, big change. That is hard for many to hear and accept. Dr. Holt has Dr. Holt has the experience and cultural competency that we need. She is more than invested in the social-emotional status of our students. She loves our families, and she manages to keep the students and academics at the forefront while being the most supportive and involved superintendent I've ever worked with in 15 years, everywhere from Highland Park to Ann Arbor, and everywhere in between. I feel that after someone is torn down, they need a chance to get back up, and I hope Dr. Holt can feel the love for her that is here tonight. I love our district, I love my job, I love my school, and I just want to make sure that positive changes continue to be made. And in my opinion, Dr. Holt is the right person to do that. Thank you.
Angela Zaley and Kelly Michaels.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Michaels. I'm co-president of WABA, and I'm here with Angie Zaley, our other co-president. The following letter was written and agreed upon by our Wayne Westland Building Administrators Association.
To the Wayne Westland Board of Education members, in regard to the recent letter sent to the WWCS Board of Education from retired athletic director and former WABA member Greg Ambrose. That letter was sent as a communication from an individual and is not in any form an official communication from the Wayne Westland Building Administrators Association. It was not voted on or approved by the WABA Executive Board or the WABA membership. WABA believes in the Wayne Westland Community Schools and supports the students, families, and staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Sapple. Perhaps my pronunciation. Shannon Coffey.
She's right there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Shannon Coffey. I've lived in this community for about 30 years. I own 2 homes in Wayne and Westland. Actually, we have a street, Herbert Street, named after a family member. That's how Westland I am. I am so disappointed by how divided this community is. Dr. Holt is phenomenal. My story of Dr. Holt, my son is biracial. My son had a problem at Wayne Memorial. He has never been in trouble a day in his life. He is an honor roll. I have worked in your schools for 5 years on top of that. Dr. Holt personally called me at home. Wayne Westland Schools had my son's demographics listed as African American, Caucasian with 50%, actual 50% by my son's name. Jim Crow laws apply. That should not be happening in our school district. The only person to address my concerns was Dr. Holt. I brought it up to Mr. Weber. He just pushed it off like, oh, that's just what we do. Another problem I had at Wayne Memorial, I pulled my son out of Wayne Memorial after 10th grade year. After a kid was so beat so severely on the 3rd floor, there was blood everywhere. My son walked out of the school. Not one teacher caught him or administrator. Upon that time, my son was being harassed by a teacher. Again, my son has never been a trouble in a day in his life. I am respected with these kids, and these kids know I defend them, black, white, blue, whatever. They know Miss Coffey defends them. Upon my own child, the teacher told my son, well, what are you going to do when you work at McDonald's? That is a double-edged sword. One, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they support our families. Our parents work there. His father has a PhD in education. I have 2 masters in business and human resource. We did not raise a child to be spoken to like that, and I will not let a teacher speak to my son like that. I pulled my son out of Wayne Memorial. I plan on letting my son graduate from Wayne Memorial, but that was only because Weber is gone. The day Weber left is the day I registered my son, and you can look it up, and I have all emails to prove what that teacher said, because she admitted it on public record, and what Weber said. But when we're putting % signs by people's races, and she stood up for that, I love you, Dr. Holt. You got this, girl.
Michelle? Please begin.
I'm waiting for the green, so I do not. Since we are talking on that agenda and we're talking on the resolution, on number 3, why is it a paid leave of absence? Is there going to be a set time limit for this leave during the investigation? When will the district know exactly how much all of this investigation will cost us? Where will the monies be coming out of exactly in allocation? Will the MASB be notified and be involved in any of this process? For the upcoming board retreat for the goals and objective, will the current superintendent visions for the school attraction, increase theater, arts, sports, and be implemented? And are the board retreats dates set? The last thing I want to say is during all the board summer retreats that you guys have going over the goals, you always say one board, one voice. This has been discussed many times. I've been at the majority of these. I am a little upset that this board is not on one accord. And I agree with the resolution, and I suggest that you guys get on one accord and stick to that.
Victoria Riley?
I'll be honest, I wasn't planning on speaking. That's why I sat all the way in the back today. But my comments are more specifically for the board, because all over social media today, one has been blasting the other over what's happening between each other. And we sit and talk about our students and how they should behave on social media, and yet we are acting in complete opposite of that. As the board of a school district, what kind of role models are you showing to be for our students? As an almost former administrator of this community and these students, I'm only here to support them and to support our teachers and our administrators. There are people in this community and this district that work 10, 12, 13 hours a day, making sure that we are getting our budgets in order finally, making sure that we are staffed appropriately, working hours and weeks and months on end to get our contracts ratified so our teachers finally get paid. And we're bashing each other on social media. The resolution tonight, President Cox, if you remember on April 29th when we had our closed session, you said to me, the superintendent is the captain of the ship. And as the board, it's not our job to micromanage her decisions. Well, what is this resolution doing? Do you support the superintendent or do you not? You need to make a decision. What is going to be best for the student body and what is going to be best for the administrators and the community? This is not about who likes who. Everybody claims we want change, but yet we got change, and guess what? We want some more change because we don't like the change we got. Make up your mind and stick with it. Nothing is going to happen overnight. So my resolution, my proposal is to stand by your district. This is not we're for one side or for the other. We are all one community, and whether or not I am still with this district, I still 100% support it, and I believe in Wayne Westland. Thank you.
Robert Freeman. I can't hear you. What are you saying? Robert Freeman?
My comments were for non-agenda items afterwards.
Okay, thank you. Joanne Cox?
Hello. I'm a parent here. I have 4 kids in the Wayne Westland School District. None of them attend Wayne Memorial, so I don't have any personal experience with anything that's going on at Wayne Memorial. I also don't have any personal experience with Dr. Holt. What I do know is only what I've read about in Mr. Ambrose's letter, which I found disturbing. Many of the allegations were disturbing, particularly that other employees have issues that they are afraid to raise because of retaliation. I think this has gone too far now for there not to be some sort of resolution, some sort of investigation, so we know what is factual, what was rumor, what was just decisions people didn't like, what was actual corruption, if there is any. We're not going to know unless there is an actual investigation, and otherwise it's just going to continue to be rumors and people that are never going to believe whether or not Dr. Holt did anything wrong, because without an investigation, we can't really know. We need transparency, we need a complete investigation so that we can move on. If there's nothing wrong here, then we can move on. If there has been something wrong, then it needs to be addressed, and then we can have trust in the fact that our district and our community is running the way it's supposed to. Thank you.
Don Harris. Megan King. Ed McGovern.
Good evening, President Cox and the rest of the school board and the Wayne Westland community. I'd like to echo what our last speaker said. My name is Ed McGovern. I'm a Wayne Memorial High School teacher. I've taught in this district since 2000. I think at this point, Mr. Cox, I would agree with much of what you said, and this may be unpopular, but I think that the way this has happened this evening is unfortunate. I think the way it started, there were many passions, and there's a lot of emotion in this room. And I think we're at the point now where we just need to clear that air, because everyone has said what they want to say. And at this point, I think we need to either clear Dr. Holt's name, and the best way to do that is to have an investigation. There's too much animosity now from both sides to do nothing. And so my recommendation would be to vote and clear the air and find out what really happened and what didn't happen so that Dr. Holt can get her life back, so that the district can get their life back. And that may not be popular with everybody, but I think that that's the right course. Thank you.
Kente Rosser.
Good evening, everyone. To the board and to the board president, thank you for this opportunity. I'll be very brief and very concise. Speaking from my own personal experience, I've known Dr. Holt to be very knowledgeable, resourceful, passionate, caring, supportive, and experienced. She's also encouraged many community partnerships. So just speaking from my own experiences, those are the adjectives that I would best associate with Dr. Holt. Thank you for this opportunity to address the board. Thank you.
Julie Rogers.
Good evening, Mr. Cox and the Board of Education. My name is Julie Rogers, and I'm a building administrator in the district. I have come to speak tonight after much soul searching. Do I do what I've always done in my 22 years as a teacher and administrator in the district that I love? And that is speak up for our students, or do I shy away due to fear? I do not fear Dr. Holt. I greatly respect Dr. Holt. It is the fear of what is happening to our district and our kids after someone shared a letter that was not written in the first person. As an administrator, I did not know about the document, and I do not lend my name in support of that document. I do not stand here to pass judgment on the validity of the claims in that document, but to plead that you ignore the rabid social media fire and actually look for the truth. And then make a decision based on what is best for our students in the district, not the loudest voices. Our district has been on a steady decline, I hate to admit that, but for years. And I have only felt excited and optimistic for the future of all of our students since Dr. Holt arrived. This situation is creating a divide that I don't honestly know if we can ever heal. It has damaged relationships between neighbors, parents, students, teachers, administrators, all of us. Please set aside all of your biases and preconceived notions and make the right decision for our students.
President Cox, would a
Dr. Weaver.
motion be acceptable at this time?
Which motion?
My motion would be that we suspend the rules and that we move right to the issue at hand.
Is there support? Is there support?
I'll support this at this time.
Been a motion by Dr. Weaver, supported by Mrs. Madell, to suspend the rules and call the question. Roll call vote.
Can I?
Is there discussion?
Yes. So, will they?
Mrs. Walker, please allow the board to discuss this very important issue.
So my question is, in order, as we go into the next agenda item, will the people still have an opportunity to address the board in the second part of the comments?
Yes, we still have a citizens' comment section following the vote, and we will entertain and sit here as long as it takes so that everybody who wants to be heard has an opportunity to be heard.
Okay.
I have a question.
Is there any further discussion?
On just the motion? Or
Yes,
on the document?
On all of the question.
All right, I have a question on the document.
Okay.
I have no problems with an investigation. I think that's the fairest thing to do for Dr. Holt, for our school board, for our students, for our community, because they deserve answers, we deserve answers, everybody deserves answers on allegations and innuendo and rumor and social media and everything else that's been swirling through the air lately.
Can we, I'm sorry, Mrs. Mendel, can we confine our discussion to the call of the question?
That's why I asked you if...
Yes, well, I'm sorry. The call of the question is the issue on the floor.
Okay, because I do have a question on the document, so
Okay,
that's fine.
we'll ask when we get to it.
All right, that's
Is
fine.
there any other discussion on the call of the question?
I just had a quick question.
Mrs. Hines.
I'm just trying to figure out exactly what are the charges we're voting on for the investigation.
Right now, Mrs. Hines, all we're voting on is the call of the question. And what that refers to is, we have a citizens' comment section before the agenda item. And what Dr. Weaver has motioned, support by Mrs. Mendel, is that the rest of the people, and there are quite a few, that would like to speak, have their speaking time moved to after the question. In other words, to move to decide the matter now. Still giving everybody an opportunity to speak, but for the board to do its job now. That is the issue on the table.
One more question. I just want to know exactly what she's doing that's wrong that we need to, I just need to know exactly what the charges are that we're voting for.
And we'll have an opportunity to talk about that, but right now, the issue on the floor is the call of the question. Do you have any discussion about that? Is there further discussion on the call of the question?
Can you give me an idea of how many people are yet to speak?
Sure.
Mr. President, there are more here.
About 48, 50 minutes.
The question is called for action is 3 in favor and 3 against. Any time after that.
Okay. Does that end the discussion on the call of the question? Roll call vote.
Mr. Buckaloo? No. Mrs. Bedell?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Hines?
No.
Mr. Neal? Yes. Mr. Cox?
No.
Okay, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 yes, 4 no.
Karen Rupert. Karen Rupert. Please.
Hi. Superintendent Holt, I sat in the audience and participated as a community member for your interviews. You were my first pick, even above the likely candidate, John Albrecht. You impressed me with your passion for education. You talked how you drove through the community and how it felt like a home to you. You seemed like a great fit for our community. You seemed like a great person I really wanted to get to know more. I supported you. I told everyone I knew about how impressed I was with you. I supported the bond. Now, I question why. Why have you shunned so many of us? Why did you not support the activities at Wayne Memorial at the end of the year? Why did you eliminate positions of staff that spoke out against you? Why are you removing seasoned, dedicated staff? Why did you create a toxic, threatening, negative environment? What happened? What was your agenda? To the board, I am a Zebra. I have a recent Zebra graduate and potential for 3 more. I never thought I'd say this, but I am contemplating leaving Wayne Westland for good. I left once for less than a year, because we wanted a better life for our family. We came back very quickly because of the community and the amazing staff in the Wayne Westland schools. Yes, we came back. And now if we leave, it will be forever. I am shocked at the recent events, the toxic feeling around the schools, the unknown of the what, whys, and who's next. There is an implosion happening. I feel like we are passengers on the Titanic, and now suddenly, people can't get out soon enough, and those that can't leave are drowning. So please, we need to act now. We need to preserve our schools now. We need to rally around what is right now and get rid of what is wrong. We want transparency, not secret agendas. We want Lindsay Russo to stay at Wayne Memorial, not sent to the first closing school where we secretly hope she will just quit. We can't get Kevin Weber, Greg Ambrose, or Matt Dyroff back, but we can keep her where she makes such an impact on student life here. This was written by myself before any of these students came up and spoke today. We just have the same opinions. Please understand that these kids are not our pawns. They came and they spoke because they believed that something was wrong and they just want answers. That's all we're asking for. Thank you.
Deshaun Wallace.
Good evening. My comments are brief. I'd like to take a minute, a pause. Like I informed the board on Monday night, I am a counselor, and I believe in restorative practices. The auditorium is full of people invested, and so I need everybody to just take a minute, take a breath. We're in a society where it seems like it's a regular occurrence to attack people emotionally and verbally, and that's not okay. However, what we see is we see a student body that's invested, we see a community involved, and we see a board that's interested. And so I'd like to encourage everyone in the room, as we move forward, whether we decide to investigate or whatever happens after tonight, stay invested and involved. Continue to attend meetings, stay alert and attentive. So we all need to move forward. Do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Monday night I learned that we didn't have a reading curriculum, and now we do. That's a problem. The district has been declining. And so again, has everything been done correctly? No. Could things be done better? Sure. And maybe what we do need is a collective effort. Maybe we should assemble a panel of students and parents to collectively work with the board on what's best for this district moving forward. Transparency is going to be key, and I think for every single student that spoke up that enjoyed Wayne Memorial, you'll find some students that did not necessarily enjoy Wayne Memorial. I know for a fact that the alternative school is 80% African American, but the district is 40%. I'm not bringing up race. What I'm saying is there are things that need to be fixed. Every kid does not have a post-secondary option. That needs to be fixed. So you have a district superintendent that believes in kids. I agree. She might have been rude. I agree. You might not like the way she handled things, and that's okay. Maybe now all of us can change, from the superintendent to the student body to the parenting group and the board. We have an opportunity. Let's take advantage of it.
Chris Ewing.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for this opportunity to attempt to
do your business with absolute transparency. I'd also like to thank you for not only allowing the students, but protecting the students' right to be able to get up here and speak their mind, even if we don't necessarily agree. The ability to speak your mind and not be silenced is this country's most valuable resource, so please don't ever let anybody stop you from doing that. Like this guy. I've had nothing but positive experiences with Dr. Holt. However, I think we can all agree that when something has come to this point, we're not after crucifying one person. We're here to discuss one thing, an investigation. Should this investigation happen? At this point, obviously, that's not even really a question. I don't see how anybody could logically think that this investigation shouldn't happen. That doesn't seem to be a popular opinion across the group, but when you have this many people asking these questions, you have to ask why. Now, we have had people ask some questions that I thought were kind of silly, like, what is she being accused of? This is an investigation to find out if she did anything wrong. That's all it is. If she did something wrong, then we need to know about it. Why are we here? We're here to let them know that they should vote to investigate if one person says that there's an issue, then there should be an investigation. If many people and teachers and students and somebody's willing to put their name on a piece of paper and say, these are the things that I believe need to change to make it better for the students, that should be investigated.
Amy G.
Good evening, Dr. Holt and our school board. I can't sit here and allow people to speak so harshly about a woman that has a vision that supports students first. I, too, am a transformational leader, and I know how it feels firsthand to feel the unpopular direction that other people don't like. The unpopular direction is change. I stand here today as a positive school leader at Hicks Elementary, where tons of positive change has happened. That positive change was permitted to happen because Dr. Harmala and Dr. Holt allowed me and supported my unpopular decisions. Because of the decisions and the support that I received from Dr. Harmala and Dr. Holt, Hicks Elementary is moving in the most unbelievable direction. I was told prior to Dr. Holt's arrival to be a change agent and turn Hicks around. I had to make a lot of unpopular decisions. And if you look at our school's data and our decrease in suspensions, our decrease in referrals for behavior, and you look at our NWEA scores, we have higher achievement than most in an at-risk building. And I need you to consider the word time. Change takes time. It's unpopular, but it takes time. And I'm asking you, our board, despite all of the negativity, that letter was written, and there's so many of us administrators that did not support that letter and were not a part of the 24 current administrators. I need you to please, for everything else, take that into consideration with your vote this evening. I appreciate you in advance.
Amanda Laidlaw.
Good evening, members of the board and executive cabinet, and everybody that's really invested. I was reading through the operating procedures last night because apparently that's what I do on a random night, and it came to me that you are all volunteers. Thank you for volunteering. You are here representing thousands of people that have very different opinions, and you're volunteering to do it. I don't even know if you could claim a tax return for what you're getting here. Thank you. I have concerns about how it's being done. As I was reading, it dawned on me that I don't know that Dr. Holt has had that opportunity where people address her in a private meeting for that discussion. And that is clearly outlined not only in your operating procedures, but in the Michigan kind of like overall description of how this is supposed to happen. So I'm very concerned because you represent my students, and you represent me, and you represent my families, and I'm here for my students. On the note of the students, I would also like to mention that I have some here that are just brilliant. They're amazing, they're go-getters, but they're a small percentage of my students. Many of my students are intimidated or scared or worried. They feel like this climate is going to be detrimental to them, and I want you to keep that in mind. If you go forward with this investigation, you will cause a fiscal hardship to a district that does not need it. And if you stand forward right now and say we will not investigate because we are one board with one voice and we all have the same goal, you will let the community know that we are moving forward and that it is time to be the best Wayne Westland we can be. Thank you.
That's not Don Stubiton.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Dawn Steebleton. I'm the lead pastor at Gateway Family Worship Center. I'm proud to have quite a few members of our church here today, and I know there are other communities of faith represented here tonight, to be a voice and a strength to this school district. I am taking time to share today because I have the unique perspective of being a leader in this community, and I'm a proud mother of two amazing Wayne Westland students, Joshua and Abby Steebleton. We have been in Westland since 2010, and we believe it is the community of faith's responsibility to care for, to serve, and be a positive force in their community. A year ago, we were invited to become a community partner with Wayne Westland Schools, and I have to say, being a partner is one of our most cherished roles in this community. We aren't just sitting inside of four walls pointing a judgmental finger and shaking our heads at the decline we see happening in our district. We roll up our sleeves, we put our money where our mouth is, and we invest our time, our energy, and our effort into this community, particularly the students and the parents. We are into our 7th annual Easter egg hunt and our 2nd Cultivating Creativity summer program, and the main focus of all of our efforts have been the children in this community. Thanks to Superintendent Holt's vision and her willingness to take a risk and reach into the faith communities, the nonprofits, and the financial institutions, we get to come alongside the amazing people of Westland and make a difference where it matters. There's an underlying truth that motivates this vision. It takes a village. Churches, coaches, teachers, bus drivers, moms, dads, parents, the superintendent, we all must take responsibility for perceived failures and struggles in this community. Over the past couple of days, I must admit I've been very troubled by what I've heard by a few students, staff, and members of our community, but at the same time, I'm very proud that our students are able to stand in front of a group and articulate their opinions with clarity and with passion. However, I do think we placed a target on a person because it seems like the right thing to do. We feel like someone has to pay for the way we feel. Someone has to take the blame for the declining enrollment numbers. Someone has to take the fall for the loss of staff that we have relationships with. I want to remind the school board that it is not how communities survive, and this is definitely not how they thrive. I want to share a quote with you. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the beginning and the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails doing greatly. I want to commend Superintendent Holt and the school board and staff for the positive changes, passing of the millage and so on, so that the funds of the district can be reallocated where they need to be. We are seeing and recognize that you did not do these things alone, but you achieved them with a team of parents, teachers, students, and people who care. You did not succeed alone, and we will not let you fail alone. It's time for the village to stand up and stand behind you and come together for the purpose of the entire room. We are the village. Every parent, every student, everybody on this board, Superintendent Holt, we are the village. We are the village. So let's come together and do what's right. We are the village.
Samuel Wardbay. Speakers, please, we don't need an election speech tonight. You get 3 minutes. Please use the 3 minutes. You know what's going to happen. We're going to call the question.
How y'all doing this evening? I just come to speak on behalf of Dr. Holt. She's a very strong woman. She sat here tonight under heavy scrutiny. She has sat here and been tormented and have had real hostile job and work places, such as a couple of the board members was taunting Dr. Holt, even had the nerve to put her sacred stuff on and send pictures out. And these are the same people that she stand right here in front of that got a vote on her career. We got pictures of Mr. Weaver and her stuff. And he's going to vote against her.
We're not going to talk about
that. And he knows that Dave Cox go vote against her. And you know for a fact that Tim Buckaboo go vote against her. So this is not even fair. Y'all setting this lady up, this doctor up, against an unfair justice. She ain't said a word. If y'all don't call that strong, I don't know what is. Peace.
Staff changes. Mary McCall.
My name is Mary McCall. I'm one of the pastors of Gateway. And to the Wayne Westland Board of Education and to all that is present, I want to share my relief that Superintendent Holt is a woman of faith that endures real problems. She extends herself to the vision of her duty. She excels at keeping promises. She expresses gratitude as due. And she understands that she must work in unity with the board, with teachers, with parents, community, and students. Superintendent Holt exemplifies these qualities. We have experienced her willingness to work in unity with our church, Gateway, and with the community around our church. She's a strong woman with genuine vision and goals for Westland, which is building up, not tearing down. She is not trying to be self-sufficient, but rather cooperative with the skills and the passions of others. If you love what you do and believe in the vision and the goals, like Superintendent Holt, you will stand strong and not be defeated in your efforts, knowing that you are not working alone, but working with a team. To Superintendent Holt and those present tonight, I say all things happen for a reason. Perhaps to open our eyes and our hearts, perhaps to pull together in unity to gain new strength, perhaps to embrace a vision with love and promise so that the school district will thrive and be more than anyone could have ever hoped for. Women of faith endure real problems and real situations.
a point of clarification for the purpose of, influencing minds. The issue before the board this evening is whether or not to conduct an investigation. It's not support or against an individual. Do you believe, excuse me, it's whether you believe, will the district be harmed by an investigation, will the district be not harmed by the reverse? That's the decision. And I'm just saying that because this is your opportunity to speak. If you want to influence opinion, speaking about how wonderful someone is or what mistakes they might have made is not the issue tonight. Deborah Ann Matz. Deborah Ann Matz or Matz? Please.
Good evening, and I thank you for allowing us to come. I am a pastor many years. The purpose, we were told, was whether or not you're supposed to do an investigation. I think, as well as the students spoke, and they were excellent, an investigation is not going to bring you, nor them, nor probably the rest of us, any happiness or clarity. Once you put out an accusation, innuendo, and you throw dirt on someone's name, it's like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube. No one is going to be happy nor satisfied. I do think that Dr. Holt's integrity is top-notch. I do think we're supposed to stand up here and support her. Pioneers are not often understood, nor are they popular, because they are agents of change. Change is not popular unless it's the change we want and are comfortable with. Our country has experienced some investigations of late, and no one is happy with what's come forward, and nobody's accepting the decision, and so more investigations are happening. Can we not learn from what's already happened?
Good point.
How many more investigations are we going to have to pay for as citizens? How many more investigations are we going to have to endure? Nobody's going to be happy nor satisfied. And the people being hurt are the students and the teachers and Dr. Holt, people that have given their lives for the benefit and the welfare of this community. Thank you.
The chair is going to call a 10-minute recess. We are in recess.